Have you ever wondered why you feel stuck, even when you're doing everything right? Why does your mind keep running in circles, replaying old fears, doubts, and failures like a broken record? Here's the truth. Your real enemy isn't out there. It's the voice inside your head. The one that whispers, "You're not good enough," or "You'll never change." That inner voice is draining your emotional energy, stealing your clarity, and breaking your momentum. And the worst part? Most men don't even realize it's happening. But Stoic philosophy offers something radically different. It teaches that mental strength isn't about suppressing pain, it's about learning how to transform it. Your thoughts are not facts, and that your emotions are signals, not sentences. In this video, we'll unpack the habits, mindset shifts, and grounding practices that help you reclaim control over your inner dialogue, reframe self-doubt, and build emotional discipline, starting with small, powerful steps you can actually apply. You're not alone in this battle. Millions of men, strong on the outside but overwhelmed inside, are fighting the same war. But there's a way through, and it begins with a shift in how you think, speak to yourself, and respond to pressure. So if you're tired of feeling hijacked by your own mind, stay with me. This could be the moment everything changes. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and let's step into a new kind of power, the Stoic kind. 1. Change the way you talk to yourself. You speak to yourself more than to anyone else on this planet. But have you ever stopped to ask, what kind of voice are you listening to? For many men, that voice isn't a coach, it's a critic. It doesn't guide you, it judges you. And over time, it chips away at your confidence, your clarity, your drive. The words you whisper to yourself behind closed doors, those words are shaping your life more than you know. You're weak. You always mess up. You'll never get it right. They come quietly, but they cut deep. Most people think motivation means pushing harder. So they turn that voice up louder, believing shame will fuel change. It doesn't. It drains you. It locks you into a cycle of self-attack followed by guilt and paralysis. That inner dialogue becomes a loop that keeps you stuck, even when everything outside seems fine. You could have the career, the body, the house, but still feel like an imposter. Because what breaks you isn't failure itself, it's the way you talk to yourself after it. Stoicism offers a powerful shift. It teaches that self-mastery begins with self-perception. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In other words, your internal dialogue isn't just commentary, it's identity training. Every harsh phrase, every sarcastic insult you throw at yourself reinforces the version of you that believes he's not enough. And if you hear that voice every day, you eventually become the man it describes. So what if you rewrote that voice? Not with fake positivity or empty mantras, but with grounded clarity. You're not telling yourself lies, you're telling yourself the whole truth. That you've made mistakes, yes. That you've failed, absolutely. But also that you've learned, grown, and refused to quit. That voice becomes your internal coach. And like any good coach, it's honest, but it's never cruel. It holds you accountable without shaming you. It pushes you, but from belief, not contempt. The mistake most men make is thinking that tough love means being brutal with yourself. It doesn't. Real toughness is about responsibility, not punishment. If you wouldn't speak to your son or best friend the way you speak to yourself, then something needs to change. Because the way you talk inside your head determines the strength you can show outside of it. The Stoics never said to ignore your flaws. They said to face them with reason and resolve. Self-talk is not about indulgence, it's about structure. If your mind is a house, your words are the beams holding it up or tearing it down. And every day you repeat the same scripts, you're either reinforcing your foundation or silently collapsing it. So here's what you do. For the next 3 days, keep a note open on your phone or carry a small card in your wallet. Every time you catch that inner critic speaking, pause. Write it down. Don't edit it. Don't justify it. Just capture it. At the end of each day, look back and ask, would I ever say these words to someone I care about? If the answer is no, it's time to reframe. Replace each line with a version that reflects reality. Not weakness, not false hope, but clarity. I'm not good at this. Becomes, I haven't mastered it yet, but I can get better. That's not fluff. That's a mindset rooted in discipline. Because when you change the way you talk to yourself, everything begins to shift. Your energy improves, your emotional resilience strengthens. You start making decisions from strength instead of fear. And over time, you stop being your worst enemy and become your strongest ally. All it takes is 3 days. Start today. Write, reflect, reframe. Let that new voice begin. Do this for 3 days. No shortcuts, no exceptions. Talk like a man who respects himself and watch what happens. 2. Name and question your emotions. You feel something. It hits you fast. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's a shame. Maybe it's that hollow, sinking feeling in your chest you can't even name. And before you can stop it, you're already reacting. Your tone shifts, your body tightens, you shut down or explode, and afterward you say what every man says, "I don't even know why I got that upset." That's the problem. Most men never learned how to pause between feeling and reacting. No one taught us that emotions are not commands. They're not the enemy either. They're signals. But if you never slow down long enough to name what you're feeling, those signals get scrambled. And when they're scrambled, they run your life in the dark. You're not weak for having emotions. You're weak when you let them control you without understanding them. That's the part no one says out loud. You don't need to suppress what you feel, but you damn well need to question it. Because most of the time, the feeling isn't the problem, it's the story you're telling yourself behind it. A man gets ignored. The text is left on read. His chest tightens, his mind jumps. She doesn't care. I'm being disrespected. Suddenly he's spiraling. Not because of the event, but because of the interpretation. And that's where everything changes. Here's what the Stoics knew. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." You weren't hurt by the silence. You were hurt by what you made the silence mean. The feeling isn't lying, it's pointing to something. But your interpretation? That's where the lie lives. So what do? You name it, out loud if you have to. You say, "I feel angry. I feel anxious. I feel unimportant." Not "I feel bad." That's not precise enough. Bad can be rage or shame or grief, and they require different responses. Specificity breaks the fog. Then once you name it, you challenge it. Ask, is this emotion based on truth or my assumption? Is this a reaction to something real or something I'm projecting from the past? That gap between the trigger and your response, that's the space where power lives. Take Mike, a 42-year-old father of 2 who came home from work one day and blew up at his kids for making noise during dinner. His wife pulled him aside. They were just laughing. But Mike's mind had interpreted the chaos as disrespect, lack of control, and failure as a man. The problem wasn't the volume. It was the unspoken narrative he'd been carrying all week from a hard meeting where he felt invisible. It bled into everything else because he never named it, never questioned it. You don't have to be Mike. You can train this. You can build emotional discipline the way you build muscle, slowly, repeatedly. In the same way you log workouts, you log feelings, not to wallow in them, but to untangle them before they own you. Start with this. 3 times a day, morning, midday, and before bed, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Be honest. Then ask, does this feeling match the facts? If the answer is no, rewrite the story. You don't need a therapist to do this. You need a pen, 3 minutes, and the courage to stop lying to yourself. Because here's the truth, your emotions aren't the enemy. But your refusal to name and question them is. And if you keep living like that, you'll keep reacting to ghosts, punishing people who didn't hurt you, and staying stuck in storms that passed a long time ago. The Stoic man doesn't reject emotion. He refines it, he listens, he questions, and then he acts from clarity, not chaos. You can do this, you can build that skill. All it takes is 3 days. Start now. Write down one feeling, ask one question, pause before the next reaction. Do that, and you'll start taking your power back, one quiet decision at a time. 3. Focus on what you can control. Let go of the rest. You waste more energy than you think, fighting battles that were never yours to win. The weather, the news, your boss's mood, someone else's opinion, none of it is within your control. But every day, you burn emotional fuel chasing outcomes that ignore you. That's why you're tired. Not physically, but mentally. Drained not by what's happening, but by how you keep trying to manage the uncontrollable. Control is not force, it's focus. Yet most men confuse reacting to everything with taking charge. They think being angry makes them strong. They think constant tension means they care. But when you try to grip what you were never meant to hold, your hands bleed, your mind breaks, and you call it life. Now imagine your mind like a battlefield. Every thought is a soldier. Every action is a move on the front. But here's the problem. You've sent half your army to fight on terrain you can't even enter. You keep engaging in wars where your weapons don't work. You argue with strangers online. You obsess over market crashes. You try to predict how people will respond, what they'll think, whether they'll approve. All of that, it's a trap. A quiet, constant war you can't win. This is where Stoicism draws the line. Epictetus made it simple. Some things are up to us and some things are not. That's not a quote, it's a tool, a compass, a filter to pass every thought through. What's up to me? What isn't? If it's not up to you, release it. If it is, act. No hesitation, no distraction. A man I once met named Darren worked construction for years. One morning, the project he was managing fell behind because of a shipment delay. The crew panicked. The client threatened penalties. Darren didn't yell. He sat down with a notebook and drew 2 columns. Left side, what I can control. Right side, what I can't. Then he focused only on the left, redistributing labor, updating the timeline, calling for local backup. The storm passed. The delay got resolved. But more importantly, his mindset stayed intact. That's what real control looks like. Not dominating the world, but staying anchored when the world shakes. And most men don't lack discipline, they lack direction. They grind hard, but they grind into walls. Not because they're lazy, but because their mind is cluttered with what-ifs, with overthinking, with impossible problems they were never meant to fix. So here's what you do. Every morning, before the chaos starts, take 3 minutes. Grab a piece of paper or open your phone. Create those 2 columns. On the left, write down what you can control today. Your attitude, your effort, your decisions. On the right, what you can't. The weather, someone's tone, the outcome. Then commit to this rule. Don't spend more than 60 seconds thinking about anything on the right. It's a drain, and you're no longer pouring yourself into dead space. Because once you stop fighting unwinnable wars, you reclaim power you didn't know you had. Mental clarity returns. Emotional energy builds. You begin to respond instead of react. And most importantly, you stop letting external chaos dictate your internal peace. The Stoics weren't calm because life wasn't easy. They were calm because they chose where to place their attention. And attention is everything. It's the currency of discipline, the fuel of emotional resilience. And it starts with a simple, honest question. Is this mine to carry? Do this every day for 3 days. Not forever. Just 3. Make the list. Follow the rule. Train your mind to drop what you can't hold and double down on what you can. That's not giving up. That's getting sharp. And for the man who's ready to rise, this clarity is not optional. It's essential. 4. Live with purpose, not just routine. You wake up, you go through the motions, you handle what needs handling, check the boxes and get through the day. And yet, when your head hits the pillow, there's that quiet emptiness. You weren't lazy, you weren't careless, but something felt hollow. That's not burnout. That's a lack of purpose. Most men confuse routine with purpose. They think consistency means clarity, but there's a difference between living with structure and living with meaning. You can follow every step, meet every deadline, even provide for everyone around you, and still feel like you're drifting. Because doing isn't the same as becoming. Routine without direction is like hammering nails into boards without knowing what you're building. Eventually, you forget why you picked up the hammer in the first place. That's the trap. The calendar stays full. The goals look good on paper, but deep down, you're not anchored to anything real. And when a storm hits, when the market dips, the job shifts, the relationships strain, you don't bend, you break. Because routine alone can't hold you up. Only purpose can. Purpose isn't a slogan. It's not a mission statement on your fridge. It's a quiet alignment between what you value and what you do daily. And here's the truth most avoid. It's your job to create it. No one's going to hand you a map. You have to build it from the inside out. That means stepping back, asking hard questions, and cutting what doesn't fit. The Stoics weren't chasing fame or comfort. They aimed for alignment. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to impress anyone. He wrote to remind himself to live each day as if it were his last, to speak less, to act more, to waste nothing on distractions or empty praise. He understood something most men forget. Purpose isn't about impact, it's about intention. It's not what you achieve, it's how deeply what you're doing reflects who you've chosen to become. So how do you begin? You ask one question every morning. Is what I'm about to do today aligned with who I want to be? If the answer is no, you don't need to burn your life down. You need to shift one thing, just one. Purpose is built through alignment, not reinvention. That means refining your routine, not replacing it, trimming the noise, reclaiming time, redirecting effort from status to meaning. And if that feels vague, tie it down with action. Anchor your day with 3 points of contact to purpose. One task that builds your body, one that feeds your mind, and one that strengthens your values. Not to be perfect, but to stay pointed in the right direction. This isn't about passion, that fades. This is about clarity. When you know why you're doing something, resistance loses its grip. You stop chasing motivation. You start relying on direction. You show up not because you feel like it, but because it's aligned. The mistake is waiting for a purpose to feel excited. Often it feels quiet, boring even, but that's the power in it. It's not emotion, it's design. A chosen center you return to, especially when nothing else makes sense. The Stoic man lives like a compass, not a weather vane. His direction is fixed, even when the wind changes. And you can live that way too. You just need to build one anchor at a time. Not a life that looks impressive, but one that feels solid under your feet. For the next 3 days, cut one thing from your routine that has no meaning. Replace it with something that restores clarity. Journaling, learning, training, even stillness. Do it quietly, consistently. That's how you return to yourself. Not with noise, but with alignment. And once you start, the emptiness doesn't just fade, it becomes fuel. 5. Train through adversity like a mental gym. No man becomes stronger by avoiding pain. No mind becomes sharper by avoiding pressure. You know this at the gym, resistance builds strength. But most men forget this when it comes to life. They treat every challenge like a curse, every setback like a sign they're failing. But what if it's not failure? What if it's training? Adversity isn't personal. It's not the world targeting you. It's the weights on the rack waiting to be lifted. And just like in the gym, if you lift too lightly, you stay the same. If you never push, you never grow. What breaks most men isn't the weight itself, it's the belief that the weight shouldn't be there. Life should be easier. That discomfort is a sign to stop. But discomfort is the entrance to change. Picture your mind as a gym. Every inconvenience is a treadmill. Every insult is a weighted plate. Every delay, every unfair comment, every rejection, that's a machine built for your inner development. You can complain about it, or you can use it. That choice defines everything. The Stoics made that choice every day. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave." They didn't seek comfort. They trained in hardship, voluntarily. Not because they loved suffering, but because they understood what it builds. Control, resilience, depth. Not the kind that's loud. The kind that holds when everything else falls apart. The mistake men make today is waiting for life to get easier before they get stronger. But it never does. The pressure doesn't stop, so you either adapt to it or break because of it. And here's where it gets practical. You can start this training right now. Not in big dramatic moments, but in small, deliberate discomforts. Every time you resist the urge to complain, you lift. Every time you sit in discomfort without reacting, you strengthen. Every time you get up when you'd rather stay down, you're doing reps. Start small. Take one daily action that challenges your comfort. Wake up earlier. Skip the unnecessary luxury. Do the hard thing first. Sit in silence instead of scrolling. Finish the task you've been avoiding. You're not just getting things done, you're building a nervous system that doesn't flinch under stress. This isn't about punishment, it's about preparation. Life doesn't warn you when it's going to hit hard. The question is whether you've trained your mind to stay steady when it does. Most men react when life hits. The Stoic man responds. Because he's been here before, in practice, in his habits, in his thoughts. This is emotional discipline in motion. You expose yourself to controlled difficulty so that when real storms come, you don't collapse. You carry a heavier load with less drama. You face pain without becoming bitter. That's real toughness. Not how loud you get, but how calmly you endure, how wisely you choose your response, how little you're shaken when most would break. So if you want a starting point, take the next 3 days and pick one comfort to remove. Not forever, just 3 days. Maybe it's sugar. Maybe it's checking your phone first thing. Maybe it's skipping the gym. Pick the thing that feels small but sticky. Then replace it with something sharp. A cold shower, a short run, a long silence. Notice what happens not just to your schedule, but to your mind. That's how you build the kind of strength no one sees but everyone feels. Not through ease, through resistance. Not through hope, through practice. Every rep is a vote for the man you're becoming. And every moment you embrace the pressure, you train your mind to hold fast when the world begins to shake. That's the gym that matters most, and it's open right now. 6. Spend your emotional energy wisely. Every man wakes up with a limited amount of emotional energy, like coins in a mental wallet, and most spend them without even knowing it. One passive-aggressive email, there go 10 coins. A petty social media comment, another 15 gone. A flash of road rage, 20 more. By the time you need focus, patience, or real resilience, your balance is in the red. You didn't run out of strength. You just spent it on things that never deserved your attention. Men are taught to guard their money, their time, even their reputation. But emotional energy? Most give it away to anyone and anything. That's why you feel drained before noon. Not because your life is unbearable, but because you keep reacting to everything that doesn't matter. You're not broken. You're untrained. Here's the trap. We confuse emotional reactivity with strength, as if getting fired up shows we care. But real strength isn't how fast you react, it's how precisely you choose to respond. And that difference is everything. One is a leak, the other is discipline. The Stoics were masters at this. They knew that your emotions aren't a weakness, but that reacting without control is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." That wasn't apathy, that was control. The option to not give your peace away. Do not spend your inner wealth on something that brings you nothing in return. So what does this look like in practice? Picture yourself carrying 10 coins in your pocket every day, and every emotional reaction is a cost. You can choose when, and how you spend them, but you don't get more until tomorrow. That means you stop arguing with people who aren't listening. You stop obsessing over slights no one remembers but you. You stop explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds. That's not weakness. That's strategy. There's a difference between reacting and responding. A man who reacts is owned by whatever pushed his button. A man who responds is owned by his values. When something triggers you, count to 5. Breathe. Ask, does this deserve my energy? If it's not going to matter in a week, why pay for it now? If someone disrespects you, do you double the insult or double your composure? Because every reaction shapes your identity, not just in the moment, but in who you become over time. This doesn't mean you suppress everything. It means you invest wisely. Because the man who wastes his emotional fuel on every small slight is always empty when it counts. But the one who chooses where he spends, he stays ready, grounded, hard to shake. That's the kind of presence people respect without needing to be loud. That's a quiet power. And if you're wondering where to begin, keep it simple. For 3 days, track your reactions like a budget. Anytime you get irritated, anxious, offended, write it down. What triggered it? How much energy did it cost you? Was it worth it? You'll start seeing patterns. You'll start noticing how many emergencies were actually nothing. And with that awareness, you'll begin to choose differently. Because you're not here to waste your life in emotional overdraft. You're here to become solid, clear, capable of absorbing chaos without becoming it. Stoicism doesn't kill emotion, it channels it. Not through suppression, but through selection. Not every battle is yours. Not every fight is worth it. Not every insult needs an answer. Spend your emotional energy like it's your last reserve, because sometimes it is. And if you can train yourself to pause, to protect that inner coin before you hand it over, everything changes. Your days stop bleeding you dry, your mind stays clear, and you begin living from a place of intentional control, not constant reaction. For the next 3 days, guard that energy like your life depends on it, because in more ways than one, it does. 7. Start change with small, consistent steps. Men love extremes, all in or nothing. We chase the perfect plan, the massive goal, the 90-day transformation that fixes everything. And when it doesn't work by day 3, we crash. Not because we lack discipline, but because we treat change like a sprint, when it's really a lifetime rep. The truth is, most lives aren't ruined by chaos. They're undone by inconsistency. Big moves feel good, but small moves, repeated, are what rebuild you. There's a reason so many guys stay stuck. They confuse momentum with motivation. They wait for a surge of emotion to push them into action. But Stoicism doesn't run on feelings, it runs on habit. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks, did you show up? Did you do the work even when no one noticed? Did you do it again the next day? Think of a stone cutter. He hits the rock once and it doesn't crack. Twice, 3 times, still nothing. But on the 100th strike, it splits, and it wasn't that final blow that did it, but the force of all that came before it. That's the work. That's consistency. You don't change your life by doing something once. You change your life by doing it until it rewires your identity. Stoic thinkers like Seneca understood this. No great thing is created suddenly. They weren't impressed by bursts of effort. They looked for men who could endure repetition without praise. Because real transformation happens quietly. You sharpen the blade one stroke at a time. You build emotional control one pause at a time. You strengthen self-respect one hard choice at a time. The mistake men make is thinking intensity is more powerful than consistency. But intensity burns out. Consistency compounds. It's not dramatic, but it's effective. And when you link small actions to who you want to become, not what you want to achieve, you stay in the fight longer than everyone else. You outlast, you outdiscipline. You build your mind the way you build a body. One rep, one set, one day, over and over. So how do you make this real? Anchor new habits to old ones. Don't invent a new routine from scratch. Tie what matters to something you already do. After brushing your teeth, write down one clear intention. After drinking coffee, read one page that sharpens your thinking. After a meeting, step outside for 5 minutes and reset your mindset. You don't need a new life. You need to attach meaning to the life you already live. It also helps to lower the bar. Yes, lower it. Because when you make the action easy, you kill excuses. You don't have to journal for 30 minutes. Start with 3. Don't run 5 miles. Walk for 5 minutes. Show your brain the motion, and the mind will follow. The point isn't how much, it's how often. You're not trying to win today. You're building a system that makes winning inevitable. This is what separates men who stay stuck from those who move forward. It's not knowledge, it's not even driving. It's systems, small rituals, invisible discipline. The world doesn't applaud it, but your life will feel it. You'll become more grounded, more focused, more resilient. Not overnight, but brick by brick. And if you're serious, test this now. For 3 days, stack one small habit onto your morning and one onto your evening. Keep it stupid simple. Track it. Don't aim for big wins. Aim for no misses. Let it build. Let it settle. Let it become part of you. Because when the world wobbles, the man who moves steadily, quietly, intentionally, is the one who doesn't fall. And that kind of change doesn't announce itself. It shows up in how you carry yourself when no one's watching. In the end, what truly changes a man is not what he hears once, but what he practices daily. You've just walked through 7 ways to rebuild your mind from the inside out, quiet, deliberate, and deeply grounded in Stoic wisdom. These aren't theories, they're tools, habits, anchors. Each one is designed to help you control your inner dialogue, reframe emotion, direct your energy wisely, and build strength through adversity. But none of it works if it stays in your head. Change begins the moment you move from knowing to doing. And that shift doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. Just 3 days of applying what you've learned. Observe your thoughts, name your emotions, pause before reacting, and train your mind like a muscle. These are small steps, but they shape everything. Because once you reclaim control over your thinking, you reclaim your life. You don't need to become someone else. You need to return to the part of you that's been buried under noise, stress, and distraction. The man who's clear, calm, strong not because he's untouched by life, but because he's trained to face it. That kind of resilience doesn't scream. It's quiet, steady, earned. So take this seriously. Pick one insight, one habit, and make it yours. Practice it every morning. Reflect on it every night. Let it shape how you show up in the world. And if you feel that shift, if even one thing changes inside you, share it. Tell your story in the comments below. Not for attention, but to show another man that he's not alone. Because someone out there needs exactly what you've just started to build. And this is how it begins.